No, you're not hallucinating. That really is John, Paul, George and Ringo resting their laurels on Plymouth Hoe.
Peace and love.
Peace and love.
OK, so it's not the original lineup, but the tribute act, the Fab Beatles. Taken in '67, this shot has become pretty famous over the years, and now, funded by the City Council, copper casts of where they posed have been embedded here for us all to recreate that image.
People coming to Plymouth will be delighted, like people of Plymouth are, to find that the Beatles are part of the city's history and that it's not all just Francis Drake and aircraft carriers, great though these things are. And they'll come here and they'll sit down with their kids and they'll plonk their bombs on the seat and they'll do what Ringo did and point out to the breakwater.
And get blown over.
It was the bottoms of the Fab Beatles that were used to create the moulds.
You do look a lot like them.
Wow.
Your bottoms, your rear ends, though, how much do they really resemble the
I think mine's a little bit bigger than George's, I think.
Mine is actually vegetarian, so mine really resembles him well.
What do you think of Plymouth?
It's okay, we haven't seen much of it, we just drove in and we're here now.
The Beatles were no strangers to Plymouth, playing the ABC Theatre in '63 and '64. And how much would I have loved to have been the reporter, accepting Macca's offer that day.
What do you think of the Plymouth audience when you last came down here?
Very nice, I think. I can't remember exactly, I'm sure it was.
About a year ago, you've been quite...
Do you want to have a smoke?
I'd love one, yes. Got one.
Just about got one.
3 years later, photographer David Redfern took this photo while the group made the Magical Mystery Tour.
It actually said the Beatles in Newquay. Obviously David Redfern and one or two of the others forgot that actually, because it's by the sea, it's not Newquay, it's Plymouth, but they were only here very, very briefly.
Sat behind the Fab Four on a bench to the left that day were 3 Plymouthians, so nonplussed at the Beatles they didn't even tell their then 17-year-old daughter they'd seen them. Jean only noticed it was them in the photo 10 years ago.
Didn't really buy into the music of that time. They were older parents, but I think it's quite sad in a way that they didn't come home and tell me. Yeah, so... But I think if they were here now, I think they would realise the importance, of them being sat in this photograph that is properly distributed all over the world.
Absolutely. I think we should have their bottom prints on this bench, actually, in the background.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, lucky for the Beatles, their photo was taken on a very dry day in September '67, so they had lovely dry bums, unlike mine right now. I have a feeling if the weather had been anything like this, that iconic photo never would have been taken.
So if you fancy yourself as John, Paul, George, or go on, someone's got to be, even Ringo, whatever the weather, you know where to plant your derriere. Claire Manning, ITV News, Plymouth.